This video is sponsored by Omaze. To potentially win your very own custom van and support a worthwhile charity, head on over to omaze.com/sampler. Travel has progressed to the point where we can move faster, further, and more affordably than ever. And yet, despite this, each year many of us pack up our cars and head out for a good old-fashioned road trip. It's slow, monotonous, kinda uncomfortable, and often more expensive than the alternatives. So, why the do we still do these? Well, you are just in time because I'm about to head out for a road trip across the US. So why don't you hop on in? And along the way, I'll tell you my top 5 reasons why I still love the road trip and why I think you might too.
As you guys all know, this year's been really strange for me because for the first time in a long time, I've been stationary for almost an entire year, which is just crazy to me. I'm not gonna lie, I've been going a little crazy, just a little, maybe a lot, but that is all gonna change because I have had enough of it. I am going to pick up my best friend, Chance, from the airport here, and we are heading west. It's gonna be fun, and we're bringing you guys along for the ride, so I am excited to hit the road. I am so stoked, but we gotta go pick him up. He's landing any second now.
Not only is traveling with company way more fun, but it also makes things way more affordable. For this trip, I'll be traveling with my friend Chance, and later on, we'll be joined by Sarah.
Dad, you ready to do this?
We can do this shit.
Let's do it!
One of my favorite parts about taking a road trip is the intentionality of it all. Instead of simply picking the beginning and ending destination like you would on a flight, on a road trip, you also get to intentionally choose every single step in between, a process that helps foster a much deeper connection with your journey. As Chance and I headed west out of Asheville, we made our first excursion to visit our friend Cody in Chattanooga. It's his birthday this weekend, so despite being a whopping 3 hours into our drive, we chose to stop and celebrate with a day of rock climbing out at the renowned Stone Fort bouldering field. Believe it or not, road tripping and rock climbing actually have quite a bit in common. Just like with road tripping, when rock climbing, there's often a period of observation, discussion, and planning before ever even touching the rock. Similarly, though the overall objective is to get from the bottom to the top, it's much more about how you go about it. And despite the fact that we all start and end at the same place, each one of us will inevitably have our own unique way of getting there. That is, if we get there. It's the process of trial and error. Sometimes, a lot of errors. But hey, that's all part of it. It's these struggles, the little victories in between, and the intentionality of each move, each hold, each foot swap that keeps us engaged in the process and creates a sort of ongoing narrative to our journey. One that makes it all the more rich and all the more satisfying when we finally do reach our goal.
Whew, it's so much smoother that time.
The interesting thing is, despite reaching the top, that's not what I remember most from that day. In fact, when I think back now, it's actually all the other stuff in between that stuck with me the most. Things like that gorgeous fall forest, or the clarity and focus I found while on the rock, and most of all, time spent just hanging out with my buddies.
Don't look at me when I'm filming you.
Well, I wasn't.
You're not supposed to make eye contact.
Chance.
Jesus.
After a night of some festivities, Chance and I prepared to ship off, back to the open road.
Our time in Chattanooga is wrapping up. We're packing up this morning and it was short, but it was very sweet.
Now that we're back on the road, we don't have any other stops planned until Colorado, and I know what you're thinking. That's gonna take a really long time to drive out there. Yeah, you are right, and to be honest, that's kind of the point. In fact, number 2 on my list of things I love about road tripping is just that, traveling slowly. With everything else in life ramping up, moving faster and faster, I welcome the opportunity to slow things down on a road trip. And when I do, I suppose, not surprisingly, I tend to see things I may otherwise miss. Things like the sky. I find myself looking at the sky a lot. Or the simple pleasures of a crackling fire on a cold, quiet night. Sometimes, especially during this stretch in the Midwest, I find myself thinking about how long it feels it takes to drive through a state. Like, that's a bad thing. But why am I always in such a rush? The more I think about it, the more I realize I actually really appreciate this feeling. The ability to feel that time passing, because somehow it makes me feel like I have more of it. After spending the night at a pretty cool campsite in northwest Oklahoma, I began to keep a vigilant eye out for our first sighting of mountains. Signs that we were closing in on our next destination. Camped out in Oklahoma last night and have made our way into Colorado finally. Feels like finally, it hasn't been that long, but I'm stoked to be here, and we're currently driving into the Great Sand Dunes National Park, one of Chance's favorite places of all time, and definitely up there on my list. We're excited to be here and hoping that the surrounding storms kind of stay away. The thing about road trips is they don't always work out as you would hope. As we began our hike out, it became all too apparent that this was one of those times. We just hiked up the entire thing, and it was just terrible, terrible weather. We had all of that bad weather, and now it's past. It may not have been ideal, but this excursion is the perfect example of number 3 on my list. The fact that I relish these unpredictable and uncomfortable situations we sometimes find ourselves in. These may not sound like very desirable traits, but ironically enough, they happen to be key ingredients to some of my favorite and most memorable adventures. After all, thanks to this inclement weather, Chance and I got to experience the dunes in a completely different way than we had before, to see them from a whole new perspective. And, well, we were pretty blown away. Alright, we made it back safely. Barely made it back alive. Made it back to watch the sick sunset. It's pretty rad out here. Oh, also, it's going to be 1 million years before I have all the sand out of everything that I wore up this hike. While we do our best with the sand, let me tell you a little bit more about how you can enter for your chance to win your very own custom van. I am so stoked to partner with Omaze again to give away another custom 4x4 Sprinter van with an $80,000 conversion from the professionals over at Vansmith. This conversion is especially cool because it's their eco-friendly conversion, which uses all natural build materials like bamboo and wool, as well as a solar setup to power everything from your interior lights to your fridge. This thing will be an absolute road tripping beast that comes to you ready to go. The way it works is pretty simple. You head over to omaze.com/sampler, where you choose the amount that you'd like to donate and are then entered for your chance to win. As for the charity we'll be helping support, you guys have all probably heard of Alex Honnold by now, but what you might not know is that he actually has his own charity called the Honnold Foundation. They believe in a world where everyone has equal access to opportunity and lives in balance with the environment. I don't think I'll be alone in thinking that's a pretty rad vision to have. So to enter for your chance to win this custom road tripping beast while helping out a worthwhile cause, head on over to omaze.com/sampler. Let's talk about the 4th reason I love road tripping so much: the spontaneous nature of it all. See, when flying, it always happens the same predictable way. You hop in a plane, take off, then arrive at your destination. Sure, it's efficient, but kind of boring. In a car though, plans are a little more fluid. So when our buddy Nate invites us to last-minute breakfast in one of my favorite mountain towns, we can. I bet you can't hit me from there to save your life. Whoa! And when Nate decides on the spot that it's getting too cold and convinces us to caravan over to Moab with him, we can do that too. It was on our way out of Moab, however, that Chance and I embarked on our most spontaneous adventure yet. I was telling Chance about a campsite I had visited in the area back in 2016, one that I have dreamt about returning to for 5 years now. There's just one problem. I was so caught up in the moment last visit that I didn't mark the exact location of it. As I finished my story, Chance gave me a look that told me our plans were about to change yet again. After detouring a little off the beaten path, okay, maybe a lot off the beaten path, we actually found it. One of the coolest things about this campsite is that it sits up on a mesa looking out over the San Rafael swell, where there is access to a bunch of cool slot canyon hikes, which Chance and I wasted no time in pursuing.
You can barely see Dora up there. That's our campsite. We just walked down that out into this plateau. And we're looking for a slot canyon. There I guess. Ooh. Oh, wow. This is so cool.
I kept thinking to myself how funny it was that our original plan for the day was to drive all the way into the night on our way to St. George, yet here we were wandering deeper and deeper into this massive slot canyon. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh my gosh, we made it back from our hike just in time for a sick sunset. That's why this spot is so freaking good. We're just up here on a plateau, and behind us, you can just see for days.
I wonder if the reason spontaneous adventures end up being some of my favorites has something to do with the fact that there isn't any time to build up expectations for them. So when things inevitably don't work out, it's almost expected. But when every now and then they do, it ends up feeling kind of magical. Kinda like this evening, spent camping out in one of my favorite places with one of my favorite people. The next day, we woke up and continued our drive into St. George, where we picked up Sarah. The irony of flying out to join a road trip is not lost on me. And yeah, it's gonna be a little snug inside Dora now that Sarah has joined. But look, we're on a mission here. See, having grown up on the East Coast, Sarah has never seen the desert before, and we want to be the first to show her. So we figured, why not start with a visit to one of the most iconic desert landscapes out there?
That's crazy. Oh, that's awesome.
Right? So we're out here at the Grand Canyon. It's pretty cool to be here because just 4 years ago, Chance and I came here for the first time, and we took a picture on this bridge with our whole crew the day before we left for our 21-day trip rafting down the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. I actually remember being down below here, paddling under this bridge once we got on the river, and it's super rad. And now we're here with Sarah, whose first time it is seeing the whole thing.
The Grand Canyon left a lasting impression on both Chance and I, and getting to be a part of Sarah's first experience here was really special. After sharing a place from our past with Sarah, we all ventured out to discover a destination new to all of us, the Vermilion Cliffs. We camped here under the cliffs for the night, but our desert tour didn't end there. We continued on to show Sarah some of our absolute favorite desert destinations out there. From the Red Rocks of Sedona, where we got out on some absolutely gorgeous hikes and were treated to this ridiculous sunset, to the sandstone boulders of Joshua Tree, where we met up with my cousin Sean and some of his friends to go bouldering. The funny thing is, I used to think that I didn't even like the desert, and given a choice, I would always prefer a lush green forest instead. It was only after my first road trip out west with Chance here that I learned just how beautiful and diverse a desert could be. And since then, I've come to discover an undeniable sense of peace and healing while I'm out here. A unique feeling I just don't get anywhere else. This is actually a great example of the final and my favorite part of road tripping. The fact that I believe it's one of the absolute best ways to learn both about yourself and others.
We've had 3 people.
I suppose there's really no way around it. When you pack 3 people into such tight quarters, you are bound to get to know each other better and quickly.
What
a van that's being used looks like. Yes, we're tight on space, but we're making it work. For instance, on this trip alone, here are a few things I learned. I learned just how great of a team Chance and Sarah are together.
How'd you end up getting the fire started? There's no firewood out here, dog.
Farted. Put that
And then
sucker
I
right up.
just lit the match right next to it, so it worked out perfectly. Teamwork, you know?
You've been hunting shrubs.
Got tumbleweeds.
And that Sarah, like me, is big into coffee. But I gotta be careful because she likes it really strong.
I know you like yours like jet fuel.
I also learned that Sarah has propensity to randomly begin narrating our lives in whatever accent she sees fit. Oh, not that again. Get out of here. Now, I already knew that Chance was a hell of a chef, but along this trip, I really came to understand that this man can make an incredible meal no matter where we are and what he has to work with. We made up some quesadillas, and we threw them in between these rocks. It's actually quite remarkable how well we ate along the way. While in Sedona, we all learned just how far we were willing to go for a shower after 5 days without one. We just re-upped on water. We were out of water, so we're taking showers by the fire.
All about pits and cracks, baby.
And while in Joshua Tree, my cousin Sean learned that he was a much better climber than even he knew when he stopped on a whim to try his first ever V5 bouldering problem, and actually succeeded.
Yes! Yes, buddy! Holy shit! I cannot believe you just did that, dude. You just sent your first what was that, V5?
Was it V5? First
Your
V5
first
in
V5
Joshua
in
Tree.
J-Tree.
Woo!
How's that make you feel?
Feels good, man.
Just want to make sure we got it. Now you can remember it for all time. That was
Thank
gnarly. What's the problem called?
Jump chomp. Jump chomp.
Jump chomp.
Johnny Langdon.
That's insane. Sure, these may all seem silly or trivial, but it's through these shared experiences and new discovered aspects of our friends that our bonds grow forever deeper, which is why I truly treasure this aspect of road tripping. Unfortunately, even road trips must come to an end. After a few more nights in J-Tree, it was time to take Chance and Sarah over to the San Diego airport to head home, which got me thinking. I guess what really matters in the end is what you're looking for out of your travels. Because, yeah, if you just need to get somewhere, flying is definitely the most efficient. But if you're looking for an experience, one full of intentional connections, spontaneous excursions, and exciting, albeit uncomfortable adventures, maybe next time you'll grab a few friends, hop in a car, and go for a road trip. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video because I really enjoyed making it for you. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the future adventures and videos. That's it for today, but I'll see you again soon for another. And until then, you know what to do. Live free, ride hard, and get stoked.